questions we wrestle with as Christians about who God is, how do we live out our faith, what is the Bible, what is the truth of the Bible, what are we supposed to believe, how are we supposed to live. There are really big, deep questions that we ask each other, that we ask God, that we wrestle with ourselves. And that's why the Cultivate podcast exists, to help us go deeper in our understanding of who God is, His Word, and the way that He's called us to live. Hey everyone, welcome to the Cultivate podcast with the Grove Church. I'm Charlie Lofton, the lead pastor there, and we are here with
Abigail Boone.
Abigail Boone, creative director,
Yeesh.
producer,
Yeesh.
expert on ecclesiology, question mark?
That's what's up.
Okay. Because when I said expert on the Holy Spirit, you were like, no.
We already did ecclesiology. Did we? I thought we already did that.
What do you think ecclesiology is?
Sin?
Hamartiology?
That's different, huh?
That is different. That's something different.
Is this the word for church?
It is the study of the church, yes. Ecclesiology.
I don't know that I'd say I'm an expert in that.
Okay. Of the ones we studied so far.
I'm quite involved.
What of the ones we studied so far, what would you say is your theological expertise?
Oh, goodness. Probably the one that it's hooked me the most and stayed with me is soteriology.
Okay.
Well, let me clarify real quick. Is that the one about salvation?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Then I stick with that. Soteriology.
Okay, yeah, so we're starting to study the church because we just finished Holy Spirit.
Yes.
We did 6? Yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot.
4 content and then 2 Q&As just on that one. We probably could have kept going.
That was the only one that I was like, I feel like we're only touching the top surface.
I felt like that on all of them.
Well, all the other ones I felt like we're going deep.
Especially soteriology. It just felt like we were just...
I already felt like that was the deep end.
There you go. All right. Perfect. So when I said this is what we were doing, you got really excited and you said...
I have a question.
I have a launching question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you'll be surprised to know it has nothing to do with the church.
Oh, okay.
This is just an opportunity to get to know Charlie's preferences.
Okay.
All right. So you're on a really long road trip.
Mm-hmm.
Let's also toss in all your girls are quite young. They need food. You can't just push through and go home.
Okay.
You're going to have to stop for food.
Okay.
The only place that you can stop at in miles, it would be way too long for your girls to keep going to find another city.
Okay.
Only options you have are Shoney's, Denny's, or Long John Silver's.
Is Heidi with me?
Your whole family's with you.
Okay. So I could be happy in any of those 3 places.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now it's a maximization problem at this point. First of all, Heidi would never go to Long John Silver's.
Okay. See, I'm surprised that you would go there.
What part of Long John Silver's is problematic for me, you think?
Fish? Do you like fish?
Oh yeah, I'm a big fried fish guy.
Okay.
Love fried fish.
All right, I thought that was going to be the
love a fried fish
screwball for you that you wouldn't be able to do.
I would by myself. That's where I would go because Because 1, I like fried fish, and 2, I'm trying to get my own drink refill. Okay. So there are some degrees like I'll prefer your quick service and your fast foods over. Especially at a place like Shoney's or Denny's. It's not like I'm getting high quality food and high quality service.
Right.
I've got a waiter or a waitress. I've got a waiter and a waitress, and all that means is that it's going to be really. There's a couple extra steps in me getting a refill on my drink, which is really, really important to me.
Okay.
So between those 2, I don't know that in my mind
there's a big difference.
There's a whole lot of wiggle room, like a whole lot of daylight between the 2 of them. I would probably pick Denny's. And my guess is that's what Heidi would pick. Okay. And the girls at any age, I don't know that they would would care or different. So I'm going to go Denny's.
Okay. But if it's just you.
If it's just me, Long John Silver's.
I'd go Denny's.
9 out of 10 times.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't like that place.
Get my own refill, fried fish. I probably haven't been to one in.
Yeah, because why would you?
20 years?
Because why would you want fish served in the middle of the U.S.? That's my question. That is wholly unnatural.
Unless it's catfish.
I guess so.
It's catfish, yeah.
Like the catfish hole.
Yeah. Catfish. They got that all sorts of nearby. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us in our intro to the study of the church. All right. So we're starting a series on the church. If I were to ask you, Abigail, to define the church,
Mm-hmm.
how would you answer that?
A place where people who share the common belief come to have community and reaffirm the things that they believe, but also a place for people who don't know about the gospel and about Jesus. That's where they can 100% come to learn about it.
So your primary noun there to describe a church is a place.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I push back,
it's a gathering place.
It's a gathering place.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm having a small group that is affiliate, when you're at your small group,
yeah,
is that a church meeting?
No,
it's not.
No, there's a group of believers getting together at someone's house.
And the fact that it is connected to the church, advertised to the church, y'all all found each other through the church.
Because there's not.
That's just coincidental.
Yeah, there's not church governance in it.
There's not?
No.
You could teach whatever you want there?
Yeah.
You wouldn't get in trouble?
You're not there.
You wouldn't get in trouble?
I guess if it got back to you, maybe.
It would get back to me.
You think?
It would absolutely get back to me. It would absolutely get back to me.
I've never considered it. I mean, it is an extension, I guess, but it's not like go to church, a la go to small group.
So, but we talk about it all the time, like at our church. Hey, everybody here needs to be involved in a small group.
Yeah.
But as far as you're concerned, that's the same as saying everybody here in the church should join a gym.
I think the church that I grew up in didn't have small groups.
Well, I mean, they had the equivalent of that.
They had Sunday school on Sunday mornings.
Right. They had small, by definition of small and group, they had small groups.
But it was like school classes. Like you went by grade and age.
Well, and now we're just talking about structures.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
But I would say that met in the church building that feels different.
Okay. So
there's a curriculum
if we say, hey, we're gonna do a service project, so we're all gonna meet at this school, and we're gonna do this service project, and we all meet out there and do it. Is that the church getting together?
Yeah.
But
that's not the church.
But it's not a place.
No.
We're away from the place.
Yeah, but you're also not teaching the gospel and sharing the Bible. You're just doing an active service with groups of people that came from the church.
So it's not church. It's not church.
It's people from the church.
People from the church. So that's what your small group is.
Yeah.
People from the church. But again, no different than if you were all going to the gym or.
Yeah. We just happen to be talking. That's what I think. I feel like I'm probably wrong.
No, but I'm just interested.
But to me, church is there's things that people from the church do together, but if you break down everything just to do the basic service of a church, that's where you learn about the Bible, grow in knowing more about the Bible, and hear about the Bible.
Yeah, and isn't that what a small group is?
Yeah, it's a secondary.
It is the church saying, "Hey, we want you to learn about the Bible," and one of the ways you do it is by in these small groups that meet in people's home. But if someone
only went to the small group, I would not say you're going to church.
But they're not a part of the church?
Correct.
Okay. But if you only come on Sundays,
yeah, you
are a part of the church.
You're going to church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
now membership is a different question.
Membership. Okay. All right. That's interesting, because I would say in the most, and I use this, there's the technical definition for words, and then there's kind of what the pop definition is.
Yeah.
You have probably given the most common pop definition for what church is. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of what a regular person would think.
Okay.
What is church? Oh, there's a church. There's a church. There's a church.
Yeah.
Church is a location.
Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting because
I don't know that it has to be a building, but that's where you teach the Bible and you learn about the Bible. And if you didn't know about the Bible, that's where you learn it. You could do it out in the parking lot.
But still.
Sure. Yeah. But I'm not saying it's not like a building. It's where those activities happen.
It's a meeting.
Yeah.
So if your small group met at the church,
it's not doing what I would consider a church service.
Well, that's different. Now you're saying that you're talking about a church service.
I'm saying,
is a church service the only thing that the church is?
No, but if some of this context is I have friends who have gone to start churches, and for them, a check mark of they have started a church is there's people learning the Bible and someone communicating the Bible, and other people can come to this place and learn about the Bible.
Okay.
There may be small groups that get together, but that's not necessarily a church.
Okay. Because it's interesting you talk about church planters, because this is the way that church planters talk, and a lot of church people do, which is like, again, just kind of knowing your background and kind of ministries you've been involved in. It was kind of interesting to hear you say that, because, you know, people who kind of get trained in kind of leading churches or go to church pastor conference kind of thing. I mean, one of the first things they'll say is, church is not a place. It's a people.
Yeah.
It's people, right? It's the people.
Yeah.
And so
what's that thing that's like, here's all the people. I'm
going to pretend that I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm going to ask you what you're doing.
Here's a church, and here's a steeple.
No, you're not doing your fingers right.
Open the doors, and here's all the people.
No, see, that's why you got to do your fingers in like this.
Oh, yes, here's the church.
Yeah.
And here's this other steeple's on front.
Here's the steeple.
Here's steeple. Open the doors, and here's all the people.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. But even then, here's the church.
Yeah.
Right? No, this is the church. It doesn't matter where these people are.
And I do agree with that. I just think the meeting has to go a certain way for it to be a church.
Well, so I'm trying to figure out at what point we'll get to that. Or maybe this episode, or maybe a different one. I
feel like we should have Francis Chan sitting right there.
What makes a church? What distinguishes a church from, say, another type of Christian ministry? We'll get to that.
Right.
Maybe that'll be a Q&A, or maybe we'll get to it in these sorts of things. Okay. So theologically, when we talk about the church, people categorize two different subcategories of that. And we're called the universal church and the local church.
Okay.
So when Jesus says, like to Peter, upon this rock, I will build my church.
Big C church.
Right? Big C church. What is the Big C church?
Everybody,
all Christians everywhere, regardless of when and where they have their meeting.
Right.
That is referred to as the universal church. Okay. And so all of Jesus's people at all times, everywhere, all of that is the capital C.
Yeah.
Universal church, the small C Catholic church, right? Just everybody. And then the local church are smaller groups of assembled groups that, for lack of a better phrase, do church together.
Yeah.
Right. So local church, universal church. And so, I think it's important to kind of make sure we understand that distinction, because in the Bible, when you see the word church, it can mean one or both of those. And so very often my distinction, and you said it first, when I'm talking to people and I say, hey, the capital C church, like
but see, a couple weeks ago, you said little C church for the Catholic Church in the Apostles' Creed. Little C
for Catholic. Capital C Catholic is the denomination called Catholic Church.
Okay.
Little C Catholic, because the word Catholic means universal.
Oh, really?
And so it's just a different word for universal. So when I say small case c for Catholic, I don't mean the denomination. I just mean Catholic as a substitute for the word universal.
Interesting.
Which, depending on the version of the Apostles' Creed that we determined recently that you don't know, depending on what version of the Apostles' Creed you're looking at, it may use the word Catholic or universal.
Yeah. See, my church when I was growing up is a call and response church, and they usually have it on the screen. So I never had to commit it to memory.
Never.
No.
You didn't still do it like at church camp, and you didn't have screens?
And confirmation class.
Your church had screens?
Yeah, man, big ones.
Really?
It was facaded into the marble structure, so the background looked like the marble next to it.
I imagined you in a very old school Methodist church.
No.
You were a hip Methodist church.
I don't know that I would say hip, but the building was not potent.
Relatively hip.
Ish.
Okay. Newer building anyway.
Like there was an organ.
Okay. Wow.
But in the Family Life Center, there was a drum set.
Family Life Center. Did you have carpeted
basketball court? Of course we did.
I would love to know the history of the carpeted basketball court.
It is a weird phenomenon. I didn't even like basketball fans. That's not the way about balls should bounce.
I was around. I mean, I certainly was around. Like I was there for the very first Family Life Center that any church in our city got. Had just a normal basketball court.
As it should.
Right. And then the second one got a carpeted one. And it's like, what? It was kind of so mind blowing. And I'm like, what even?
But it was awesome for birthday parties. We could do birthday parties there, and it was like minimal injuries.
It just allowed you to be able. It also allowed you to be able to do other stuff in that room.
Yeah,
and have
intense carpet burn.
At least mediocre acoustics as opposed to terrible acoustics.
Sure.
All right. So Universal Church, everybody. And then local church, individual congregations. Mm-hmm. Now, the word, okay, we already talked about the ecclesiology. Mm-hmm. The Greek word there, is ekklesia. You heard this word before? All right.
Should have I?
Colleges are named that. Seminaries are named that. Sometimes,
ekklesia?
Yeah. EKKLE. No. Okay.
I've never heard of a college called that.
There's actually one in Springdale.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Like a small seminary kind of deal, a little Christian college kind of deal. I feel like
that's not as well known as you think it is.
That is why I love having you on the podcast. Like, you've got enough churchy in you. You're on staff and you've, been involved in ministries, but you're not like all into the lingo and stuff.
Definitely not.
Right? Which is good because it helps me. You are a good
counterbalance.
Well, yeah, it helps me know my audience.
Sure. Yeah.
We've said this before, commenters. This is not a top shelf,
right?
High end, theological podcast. It's a bottom shelf one.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you're on the bottom shelf.
I'm a bottom shelf gal.
Well, as far as when it comes to like understanding systematic theology.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So an ekklesia, that Greek word, is a called out assembly.
Okay.
And so
that's what it means.
Yeah. And so we would like in that context, when the New Testament was written, like in Greek Roman culture, like what we would call their Congress, right? Their assembly. Mm-hmm. That would be an ekklesia, a group of people from the community called out to gather to do something.
So not necessarily a church.
It's not a town hall meeting where everybody comes, but a particular group of people called out from the community to come to this place to do a thing. Is an ekklesia.
Okay.
And so Jesus basically saying is like, on this rock, I'm going to build my group of called out people who will gather together to do a thing.
Is that the word that he used?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the word ekklesia is what it gets translated church.
Interesting.
So a group of people called out for a reason, for a purpose.
Okay.
And so the group of people is just all people everywhere. And amongst this group, there's going to be a group that is called out to assemble for a purpose. Mm-hmm. And so that's again, capital C, that is what we all are. We've been called out by Jesus from just regular people to now be a part of this assembly that gathers to.
Did they have churches then?
What do you mean?
Like, did they meet together then?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what all of Paul's letters were.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Written to, or even this series we just did in Revelation.
Those were churches.
Yeah, to the church at Laodicea, right? To the ecclesia of Laodicea, to the called out gathering assembly in this town, write this.
Okay.
So Paul's letter.
Laodicea, that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like, Laodicea.
What sounds like that?
Ecclesia.
Ecclesia, Laodicea.
Yeah, sounds the same.
Okay, fair enough. And so that is the idea of a group of people called out to an assembly.
Does the Old Testament have churches?
The Old Testament had a temple and they had local synagogues, and so they had gathering points. By all, in the broadest sense of the word church, a called out group of people gathered to assemble. Sure, they did, except that
did they go on a day?
All the Jewish people.
Right.
They were like, there were certain people from within the Jewish
that went
community that were supposed to go to the synagogue. They were all.
Did they go on a certain day of the week?
Yeah, Sabbath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like they wore their like less dusty clothes on that day.
But the idea, I'm just gonna Sometimes you just got to keep going. So that you're actually unintentionally, as you always do, asking a really deep theological question. Like, what is the difference between the church and Israel?
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant to ask.
Right. I mean, Israel it is something that God built. It was not, he did not take an ethnic group or a group of people and say, hey, I'm going to make them my people. He built them through Abraham and his descendants. So he built this, and it has a lot of similarities. I mean, it is a large group of people that exist to both worship God and to fulfill his mission on the earth, but it's different enough that we should understand that they are not the same, even if the Venn diagram of who they are, how they functioned, what was their relationship like with God. I mean, it's not two separate circles. I mean, there is some overlap, but there is a difference. Okay. But again, in the broadest sense, in the same way that, the local government assemblies in the Roman Empire were churches, were ecclesias. Yeah, sure. Okay. So were these synagogues.
So I may be asking way too many questions right now, but is that saying that it's like the elders are meeting and that's the church, or is this like anybody who's a Christian?
Anybody who is a Christian is called out. Okay. You have been called out from normal, regular people to be someone who has been saved, who is now a daughter of God, and you have been called out from your regular life to be a part of this gathering. Okay. Both the universal gathering and individual smaller gatherings. Okay. And so you don't have to be an elder. I mean,
right. Well, I was just thinking you're saying a council of people.
Well, that was just the other ways in which that word was used outside of what we would call church. Okay. Right. Okay. And so the English word church actually comes from a different Greek word entirely, but it really kind of comes from this idea of being someone who belongs to the Lord. And so church, sometimes you think, oh, church comes from ekklesia and it's like, they used to say it was ekklesia, and then they said ekklesia, and then they're like, and then it's like, and you kind of follow it along, but actually church follows a different history, but it's the same. It's like people who belong to the Lord is kind of where the English word church comes from.
But it means,
and so we take that English word and translate ekklesia that. Okay. But it wouldn't have been, but ekklesia, again, is a transliteration of the Greek word, and it could have just easily put that there. But over the course of, 1700 years,
we simplified
a word evolved that came to mean the same thing. And so that's where the English word came from. And so the universal church is everybody everywhere. And then local churches are kind of the little smaller gatherings of people that exists. So the Grove Church is a local church. And so it is a church, and as a church, it is part of the church. And so then the question then becomes, what makes a gathering of Christians a church? Like, what distinguishes it? Like 10 Christians get together one person teaches and they all pray and then, maybe they worship together and they do this in their home and there's 10 of them. Is that a church? Right? Because there was a thing that was really big for a while. It comes around every now and then. I don't want to go to like a church worship service anymore. We're going to start a home church. Yeah. Right? Or some people even some churches call their small groups home churches, right? Okay. Because anywhere that a gathering of Christians exists to do Christian-y things, that is the church. In fact, me and you hanging out right now, this is you and I, we're being the church.
This is the church.
Right? And so there's lots of different what is or isn't. And you and I both have a lot of history with college ministries, right? And if you followed the life of someone who's really involved in an on-campus college ministry, they have a weekly gathering. Yeah. very often that will sometimes they don't anymore. They used to will have worship. They're certainly teaching where they're teaching the Bible and they're gathering people and you're supposed to invite people, do all these things. And then they go to Bible studies. It's like it functions a lot of ways, the way that a church is, but what makes a church a church?
Let's see, I'm glad we're talking about this because there's something that I could list off right now, what I would say makes a church, but I have no idea where that is in the Bible. Well, is there a part of the Bible that says this is what makes up a church?
It is not as clear cut as some people would like for it to be.
Okay.
Some people would love for you to believe that I can look at this, and say, this is what makes a church. But so you really I think you need to have it a little bit more open-handed as far as what is the difference between a local church and say a parachurch ministry that does a lot of
somewhat
church
similar
functions.
Yeah.
Right? You need to have it a little more open-handed, but there are plenty of people out there. Most of them come from your more traditional denominations would be very adamant about what is and isn't a church, and anything they don't even make a category for parachurch college ministries. Right. It's not even close to being the same thing. But is that just from like passed down tradition, or is that from like a passage in the Bible that they're following? It's not as passage in the Bible. It's like, hey, okay, here's where I can show you that Jesus is God. Like John 1:1, you go right here, it says this, and it's not that. You kind of look at what the Bible says a church does. And then you recognize kind of what the difference is between the church and a college ministry or like Ozone, the youth ministry that Camp War Eagle does, or even like a church, like a summer camp, like Camp War Eagle or something like that. Because
I feel like I would hear some people say, well, we don't want to be a church because we don't want to be responsible for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I'm like, but where in the Bible does it say the church is responsible for X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of those things where it describes what the church does. And so then you kind of, this is what the church does, what the church does. You kind of put all of this together, and this is what makes something a church. And so, and again, the more of these you put together, and it's like, well, what if you're all of them but one? Does that make you a church?
Right.
But here are, by and large, the things that make something a church versus not. And again, let's just assume for a second that
this is all from the Bible.
Again, I can't take you to a spot in Hebrews chapter 3. This is what makes something a church, Abigail.
I know, but I know you may be like piecing a bunch of different verses together, but I just want to know.
It's not really piecing a bunch of verses together, but just descriptor. Yeah, I mean, yes, descriptors that
you pulled from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And so let's just assume for a second that what we're comparing ourselves to is not the difference between a church and a gym.
Okay.
We know the difference between a church and a gym. What is the difference between a church and a summer camp? What is the difference between a church and a parachurch youth group or a parachurch college ministry? What makes one a church and one of those?
Will you describe to people what the word parachurch is, just in case they haven't
Christian
heard that?
Ministry, para means alongside. So there's the church, the local churches that exist, and then there are ministries that aren't necessarily affiliated with any particular local church, but come alongside the church to do things.
Cool.
Like maybe a Christian,
Young Life.
Yeah, Young Life, or even like a Christian ministry that feeds people who are hurting. That's really all they do. All we do is feed. We do it from a Christian perspective, and we have Christian ideals and Christian goals. So we're not a church, but we come alongside the church, and those tend to have some manner of specialty to them,
right?
Which is one of the big distinctions between what we'll just call, since we don't necessarily like the word parachurch, we'll just call ministries and a local church.
Yeah.
And
I don't dislike the word. I didn't want it to be a buzzword that others didn't understand.
But one of the big ones is the scope of its mission. Right. So we are not a local church. Doesn't simply, we exist to feed the poor. Right. We exist to reach college students. We exist to reach teenagers. The scope of its ministry is
all.
Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your style or your structure, you may have any church may have a more targeted approach. We're trying to really reach people who are disaffected in some way from the church, or we're attracting younger people, but it isn't
but
like
it's not going to say no to older people,
right? You walk into a Young Life meeting, a 28-year-old single mom with a 3-year-old. Where do I put my 3-year-old? And be like,
well, we don't have a system for that.
Why are you even here?
Right.
That's not what this is.
Right,
and so that is a big one. Another one is, and this is, I've been, taught to believe this forever, but this is why I hedge when you say this comes from Bible verses, because some of these are really, I think, more traditions, but the two primary ordinances that a church does, the Lord's Supper and baptism, that's something that's what makes something a church versus,
right,
just a ministry. But again, the more and more over time, more and more ministries will, hey, let's just take communion together. And even some are starting to baptize. And again, that will make some people who are, say, their ecclesiology is rigid, really upset. Some people who have really rigid ecclesiology thinks that groups like STUMO and Young Life shouldn't even exist.
Wow. Okay.
Everything should be being done through local churches.
Okay.
And so the universality of the target, and then Lord's Supper / communion and baptism are really kind of your primary elements. And again, adding to that, I guess if we want to distinguish ourselves from a church from, say, a feeding ministry, or even like the Fayetteville prayer room, that teaching being a core aspect of it. I mean, you could have just about every aspect of what felt like a church service, but it's really not. The purpose isn't to teach,
right?
Well, that there is a teaching component to it. There is an equipping, there's a serving component. There's just, again, not just so the universality both of the target of who we're reaching and the broad spectrum of the ministry that we're doing. And so we're trying to do a little bit of all of it, but primarily centered around the teaching and worship aspect of it. And so what you tended to describe when I said, what is a church? You tended to describe what a church service looks like. But anything that a church does, like we're going to have I guess by the time this comes out, we will have had a watch party for a Razorback football game at my house.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a church activity. That was, and the church decided that we were going to get a subset of our group together to do a fun activity together at my house.
Serious activity.
Right. And so that is something that the church does. Is that the church? I don't know, but not any more than a Sunday morning church service is, quote, the church. It is, again, Abigail, it's not a place. It's not a program. It's a people.
Yeah.
And so it really has more to do with its mission, the inclusivity of its mission, the broadness of its mission. And it's less about where and in the formality or the functions of it, and more just kind of the target and the broadness of the mission. And so what we have, what has evolved as far as kind of like what a 21st century American say, what does and doesn't make a church, right? I mean, there's certain components there. Oh, you got to come and you got to have seats, and you sing, and then you have, then there's somebody who teaches, and then maybe you sing some more, and there's a place for the kids, and all those things are structures that we've kind of put around it to do what kind of these primary functions are, like baptism, the Lord's Supper, teaching, worship, equipping, serving, those sorts of things. It's like it is a really easy structure by which to do those things. But really in both the capital C and the lowercase c sense of church, the universal church and the local church, it is collections of people on a mission.
So in the Bible times, that historical period was like if you went to Philippi? Is that what it is? Okay.
But I'm going to say Philippi. Or just Philippi.
Would they have said like, that's my church? Or would it have been like, I know the Christians in Philippi?
Yeah. Now what you're talking about is kind of the history of kind of how did we get from just a random collection of people who believed in Jesus to the detailed structures with bylaws that exist in 21st century America.
Not necessarily like an us and them, but like, did they think of themselves as like a local church, kind of what you're saying?
They definitely thought of it, but they thought of themselves as like all the Christians within a city
would get together,
would consider themselves
a local gathering.
Right. Okay. And so that they, by and large, they didn't very necessarily often all of them get together. I mean, they didn't necessarily even have the infrastructure for that. Right. And so they did meet in homes, and there were elders and people who were led and kind of kept everybody connected in some way. And they knew each other and did things. And so again, the functional structures of kind of what their services and their ministries look like might be vastly different, but they would have definitely identified themselves as
a local
church of Philippi.
More local than universal.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to put a pause in it right there because again, we've already, I don't care how long your commute is. We have exhausted your commute, but we've got a lot more to do. We got a lot more to talk about, and I'm sure you are just
brimming with questions.
You're gathering questions faster than I can communicate ideas. So we'll put a pause in it for now, and you can come back next week and continue our discussion on the theology of the church, ecclesiology. And thanks, Abigail, as always, for your curiosity and just, as always, just being a great sounding board to make sure that I'm communicating to regular people and don't just live in egghead world, which sometimes I can
That's
do.
What I'm here for.
Thank you guys for joining us. And as always, you can find out more info about us as a church at thegrovechurch.org. We'd love for you to worship with us either in person on a Sunday or online. You can get all the information you want on our website. Any questions, feel free to shoot them to us as well. And again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to the Cultivate podcast. Our hope is that you are taking steps to go deeper in your faith, that you are asking big questions and you're looking for answers. We hope that we can be a resource for you through our podcast and any other way that we can help you. You can find all our episodes anywhere that you can find podcasts, including YouTube. And again, thank you so much for joining us.